So now let's acknowledge the time it takes to go through each of these different phases, and how I mentioned it's very different for each and every one of us. Now, depending on what change you're going through, you may have already gone through something like this before. So I mentioned about the gym. You probably have joined a gym on more than one occasion in your life. So the idea and the concept of perhaps going and working out at a gym may not be new. It just may be different because you're fitting it into your life here and now, which may be a little bit different than it did before when you worked out. So these are the things that change process, the behavioral change process of starting your workouts, getting them in the maintenance phase may happen a lot quicker. However, there may be some things that will be very different. Maybe this is the first time that you've decided to start your own business. And when it's the first time for anything, that's when we tend to get stuck in some of these phases. Should I? Shouldn't I? Maybe, maybe not. Do that limbo. Do I do that limbo? Do I leave what I know? Don't I leave what I know? And this is where I would say for you guys, enjoy the journey and the process. And allow yourself to know, like, the unemotional part of change are these processes, essentially. Knowing that, okay, I'm in this phase, and emotions or not, this is the phase that I'm in right now with this particular change. It's the reality of where I'm at. So, what is it about this phase of change that's working for me or not working for me? Am I ready to move on? There's a purpose for you to go through contemplation. Is this really good for you right now? Is it the best time for you right now? Maybe, maybe not. There's that maybe again, right? The whole idea with these different phases is to help you weed out what stays and what goes. Where do you put, the gas to the foot to the pedal? Or where do you put the brake on and say, this isn't for me, or this isn't the right time right now? What I would say is, if this isn't for me and this isn't the right time, I want you to be curious with it to make sure that it's not your saboteur that's saying it's not the right time and that it's not the right fit. The reason that I say that is, we've talked about saboteurs, and if you go onto my website, I have a whole series on saboteurs as well in my wellness focuses. Your saboteurs is what keeps you safe, right? It's what you know, it's the status quo. We talked about this even in episode 8 with your fear, right? When you make change, it's going to make you feel vulnerable. It's going to put you out there and expose you to new things, to something different, new possibilities. So when we feel vulnerable, it makes it a lot harder for us to necessarily take that step out. Sometimes that's why some people just go out of the gates running and sprinting. It's like, I don't want to overthink. I don't want my saboteur to take its toll. I'm just going to run and keep going, and I'm just going to hit it hard so that I can't overthink it. Ooh, overthinking, that's a good one, because we can definitely be like that. So here's the things I want you to contemplate. Do you tend to overthink things or overanalyze? If that's the case, watch yourself when it comes to your pre-contemplation, contemplation, and preparation. You may feel more comfort in staying in these areas if you tend to be the worrywart, overthinker, slow things down and don't want to move too fast. Now, if you're the sprinter, I'm going to prepare for you guys to caution yourself when it comes to preparation. You may decide that I don't want to prepare. It may scare the bleep out of me if I find out too much information. I just want to dive into it. Here's my caution to you. Without proper preparation, this could also give you poor performance. I know you guys have probably heard that before, but I want you to also contemplate that, or pre-contemplate, or Prepare for that. I'm going to say that once more. Without proper preparation comes poor performance. So if you are that Speedy Gonzalez, just make sure your preparation's in place so that when you go out running, you can keep that steam up, that stamina, that excitement, that energy in place so that you don't burn out and lose track of where you're actually going. So here's another thing when it comes to maintenance is another one too. If you're a person that tends to take your foot off the gas when things are going great, so I have clients like that too. They're like, everything is gorgeous. Everything's going well. It's so amazing. I don't have to worry about anything anymore. And then all of a sudden, something comes into place. And because they were so stuck in their daydreams and their head in the clouds, that they forgot the maintenance phase meant about having to maintain, still putting in the work. Maybe the effort didn't have to be as extreme or as hard because maybe you know more about what you're doing with your body or with the transition you've made, but you still have to be aware of what it is that you're working on and what you're working towards. Keep the eye on the prize, right? That kind of thing. And here's another thing I'll warn for anybody who likes to sit in relapse. So when it comes to relapse, the areas that I want to caution, if you are that person that tends to, beat yourself up when failure happens, or, maybe you question your self-worth sometimes, or that you put your value in the people pleaser category, you may find relapse is a space that you may sit in for longer than you need to be in, beating yourself up for things not working the way you anticipated them to go. So I call and I put out all of these different cautions for some of these different areas. And the reason is, if you find that you are any one of those individuals that I mentioned, and you probably will find that you may fit in one of those areas, is prepare for it. Allow yourself the opportunity to plan for when things don't go right.